Well, going back to our top story, the BLA seeking Balochistan's independence from Pakistan hijacked, you remember, the Peshawar-bound Jafar Express on Tuesday earlier after destroying their railway tracks. The latest claim now to have executed all 214 military hostages of Pakistan after their 48-hour deadline for a prisoner swap has expired. That is expired on Friday. To talk about this big story, we are indeed very honored to have with us one of the most proficient voices internationally on Balochistan and Pakistan geopolitics. Let me welcome Mr. Tilak Deveshwar. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. He's the member of the National Security Advisory Board, and he has also authored several bestsellers on Pakistan and Balochistan, like the Balochistan Conundrum, and many more, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sakal, for having me on your show. Thank you.
It's our pleasure, sir. So, I want to just read into your understanding of the latest claims by both sides. Now, BLA has dismissed the Pakistani military's assertion that the siege has ended, stating that the government's refusal to negotiate forced their hand in execution, which is, contrary to claims by Pakistan. Do you see a cover-up or a possibility of cover-up by the Pakistani military here? And how do you see the implications as we move on?
You see, I think so. I think the Pakistan army is trying to hide the true scale of the casualties, like they always have. Their first instinct is to not speak the truth, not come out, not inform their people, not trust their people or what has happened. You see, you take in this particular case, they said they had rescued over 100 hostages. Actually, these civilians had been released by the BLA itself. And many of the, the people who were affected, who were the hostages and who had been released, they said they had been released by the Baloch, and not by the Pakistan army. But the Pakistan army wanted to claim credit falsely for this. The train was hijacked on the 11th. By the 12th evening, that is on Wednesday, the DGISPR declares success, mission accomplished kind of a thing, that they have killed 33 terrorists and rescued the rest. Now, it just so happens, embarrassingly for him, that on the 11th evening, the Minister of State for Home Affairs, a person by the name of Talal Chaudhry, he had given an interview to one of the Pakistani TV channels in which he said two things. One, that the hostages had been released by the Baloch. And second, there were between 70 to 100 Baloch fighters. If there were 70 to 100 Baloch fighters, the DGISPR claims 33 were killed. What happens to the balance 70? Where are they and what are they? And third, there's a discrepancy in the figures. In fact, as one of the former Pakistan ambassadors to India, Abdul Basit, said on his show, that they have a discrepancy of 80. Pakistan army has not accounted for 80 of the hostages. 440 people started off from Quetta. 80 are still missing. They're not accounted for. So, all these things show holes that in the story of the Pakistan army, and therefore I would rather believe the Baloch version, which has stuck consistently, that if you don't do prisoner exchange in 48 hours, we will shoot your army personnel. I think that's what has happened.
That's what has happened. So, there is an attempt to cover up the failures, but how do you see escalating Baloch insurgency, which is, challenging Pakistan's authority? The way their coordination has grown and the kind of, the so-called repression or the state repression, it's so neck deep. And how do you see this impacting the regional instability?
You see, the Baloch insurgency has picked up momentum for the last 2 years. If you recall, in August last year, they carried out Balochistan-wide attacks. There were 11 districts that they covered. Recently, the Baloch groups, which have set up an organization called the BRAS, they met and they said that in future, instead of doing individual and small actions, they will act in coordination. They will act together. And I think this is the first example of their coordinated action because, hijacking a train requires a lot of coordination, planning, timing, firepower. And this could well be the result of the coordinated action that the Baloch are now taking. Now, this is certainly going to impact the situation in Pakistan because while the Baloch are very active now in Balochistan, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is very active in the KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Now, the two of them working in tandem will create a force multiplier and a nightmare for the Pakistan army. It's going to create a huge problem. It will impact China because the Chinese are going to be worried about their investment and the security of their personnel. And they have already been telling Pakistan, and they will, sort of insist on Pakistan even more for protection of their people. And if at one stage will come when they will say that, look, if you can't protect, we will deploy our security forces, in these vulnerable areas.
Okay.
So you let us deploy our security forces. Now that will be an absolute humiliation for Pakistan were China to deploy their own troops or security or paramilitary or private security agencies in Balochistan. So that is going to have an impact as far as China is concerned.
Right. So Pakistan's military, now you look at the response, has vowed to challenge terrorists. Though you write in pointing out the discrepancies in numbers, well, they've said that they are going to challenge these terrorists, quote unquote, and their supporters. And I'm just quoting it. They say, will take on the terrorist enablers both inside and outside country. Big embarrassment, but is this sufficient coming from the Pakistani side? What's the message here? What's the underlying message here? What's the hint that they're trying to send across?
This is basically for the consumption of the local people that we are doing something. You will recall in 2014 when the Army Public School in Peshawar was attacked and 132 children were killed. So they had a national action plan, Radul Fasad, a lot of noise, a lot of action here and there. And then 2 years down the road, the whole thing just dissipated. Same thing here, they will show a lot of words, new documents, maybe a new national action plan will come up, but then it will just dissipate after some time like it has in the past. So I don't think so the Pakistan army or the government even has the staying power, the long-term vision and the perseverance to continue to tackle terrorism on a long-term basis. You see, the problem here is that this is a political problem. The Baloch has been up in arms since 1948 because of political reasons. What the Pakistan army is trying to do is to resolve the political problem militarily. Now, you can do it for a short while. You can push the people who are protesting or fighting back for a little while, but you will not solve the political problem.
Right.
So this issue has to be resolved politically. But the Pakistan army is unwilling or incapable or lacks the capacity to tackle.
Or lacks the intent. But how long? Since, sir, your understanding of Pakistan's handling or mishandling of Balochistan, if you could just give us an insight as far as Balochistan's self-determination, this fight is concerned. Well, Pakistan hasn't helped them the way they've handled the situation, but it seems that the simmering tensions in Balochistan haven't calmed down. And I mean, this particular incident, do you think it's going to have a ripple effect? Implications? How do you see the repercussions?
Certainly. You see, because this has taken the insurgency and the movement for freedom to a very high level. It's not easy hijacking a train. And it is really going to boost the morale of the Baloch freedom fighters and impel them or encourage them to continue with their struggle because they feel that they have got the Pakistan army on the run. Second, it will also impact the other disaffected nationalities, competitive actions. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan will say, look, if the Baloch can do it, why can't we? The Sindhis will feel encouraged. So I think in the long term, it is going to be extremely difficult for the Pakistan army to contain so many insurgencies and so many problems. And the other problems that they have is of political polarization, the economy. Now, if you put all these things together, it will make it very difficult for the Pakistan army. They will react in the only manner that they know, which is to go down very hard on the Baloch. You will find people being picked up, many houses being destroyed. They will indiscriminately kill people, call them terrorists.
Yeah.
But after some time, the Baloch will push back. And if there's trouble at the same time in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Sindh, and within Pakistan itself, and the PTI is protesting against this, it will make it that much more difficult for Pakistan army to sustain things.
You know, sir, the BLA has also, in a way, challenged Pakistani authorities multiple times to allow independent observers into this conflict zone, suggesting that the army's reluctance to do so shows their defeat.
It is true. You see, if they said the operation was over on Wednesday and today is Saturday, they have not allowed journalists in that area. It's cordoned off, and they are allowing no one to go and verify independently. Or even their own journalists who are on their payroll, they don't allow anybody to go there. And what are they hiding? If the operation was clear, and if they have killed so many terrorists and freed so many hostages, what have they got to hide? Similarly, UN people have asked for a UN observer group, or there's a UN particular Human Rights Council's body which looks after arbitrary arrest and torture and things. They've asked that some mission like this to come, but the Pakistanis are refusing to allow this to come, to understand, what the problem in Balochistan is. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan has pointed this out several times, as has Amnesty International, about the grave violation of human rights. We've heard about the missing persons and the kill and dump policy. But Pakistan will not allow international observers or even their own journalists. So obviously they're hiding something.
How do you see Pakistan's long negligence in Balochistan? In the sense, are you hiding something? That question that you raised. The state accounts for, I think, 44% of the country's geographical area. And the region is most underdeveloped and poverty-stricken. Though it's so, rich in minerals, and you talked about the China angle. Given the mess in their own backyard, do you think this incident has put Pakistan on a back foot somewhere? I mean, even the stories that they are, the indiscrepancies in their accounts, especially of handling of this incident.
Yes, it's this incident, more than any other, will draw attention to the fact that why are the Baloch so upset? Why are the Baloch fighting? Not only in Pakistan, in other parts of Pakistan, but also internationally. People will want to know why are the Baloch so angry? Why are they upset? And then they will realize exactly what you mentioned. Balochistan is the most backward of all the 4 provinces of Pakistan, despite being so rich.
Yeah.
I'll give you one example. Sui gas was discovered in Balochistan, in a place called Sui, in the 1950s. Every town and urban area in Punjab, and Sindh for that matter, has got piped gas, except for Sui itself.
Yes.
Even Quetta, the capital of Balochistan, got gas only in the 1990s. That, and then even the price of gas is much higher. The royalty that is paid to Punjab and Sindh is far higher than the royalty that is paid to Balochistan.
Okay.
So, there's so much of exploitation of the resources of Balochistan. So the Baloch are saying, look, why are you doing this? We're not going to accept this anymore. And now with the building of Gwadar and China-Pakistan economic corridor,
yes, sir.
Again the Baloch feel threatened. They said that people are going to come from the outside and work over here, and the Baloch will become a minority in their own province. So this incident is going to raise the profile of people wanting to know what is wrong in Balochistan, and then they will find the kind of underdevelopment that is taking place in Balochistan.
Right. For the fact that Baloch have also alleged that their resources are driving development in rich states like Punjab and Sindh, as you rightly pointed out, while Islamabad continues to neglect Balochistan's development. The question is for how long, especially post this incident. Well, that's all we have time for, sir, but it was such a pleasure having you on National News Broadcaster, Tilak sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Sakal. Thank you so much. Namaste. It's a pleasure to come and talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.